Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining me for another Magic the Gathering opening here. Now, notice I didn't say box opening. We did the Spider-Mans, so that can only mean one thing. I mean, there was no deck, so it's time for a little bit more Secret Lair. Yep. This is a little bit late to the party, what with Avatar just around the corner there. But I wanted to get this in because I just wanted to have it set out there before Avatar was out, just so that all of this was good. I've got other secret layers that have come through that I will be putting up videos for, but we are going to get through these there, see if they were worth it, and, you know, kind of just enjoy what we get along the way, because it's going to be nice little card arts there, potentially cards that we don't have a lot of stuff for. Hate it whenever they say Plan B, that supervillain code for blow everything up. It's kind of true. A little bit of thanks for being part of Secret Lair with a little bit of webbing action there. And get both of these opened up like that. They're using the paper ones for these. Makes it a little bit easier for me to recycle all of them there. And it's a little bit easier to open them up as well. All right, what sort of supervillain plots do we have here? So first off, we're going to have a little bit of Deadly Dispute here. It looks like it's going to be 1 and a black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sack an artifact or creature, you draw 2 cards, and you create a treasure token. Nifty little one there to be able to get a little bit of extra if you've got a useless artifact or creature. Particularly good if you've got something that has a death trigger and you want to be able to activate it. Well, here's a way for you to get rid of it on tokens as well. There's plenty of ways that you can get around it there. If you need to chump block with a creature, do it as well. Be able to get a couple of extra cards and a treasure. And we've got a little bit of Black Cat talking about looks like robbing potentially a little bit of Vulture there. So, nifty little ones there. And up next, we've got a little bit of Go for the Throat with some lizard action there. It was a pretty nice one that we had, lizard in the Spider-Man cards. Not a whole lot of great Spider-Man cards. As we talked about, it was probably made for a smaller set there, and then they had to hurriedly make some extra cards. That's my guess, at least, probably. But here we are with a little Go for the Throat. Lizard trying to go in and snack on a little bit of that Spidey neck there. Those are a couple of hickeys that you don't want, but it's going to be that good old 1 and a black for an instant, destroy target non-artifact creature. So pretty similar to Doomblade there, except instead of non-black, it's non-artifact. So you have a bit more leniency with this. The only thing that you have to hope is that they don't have a artifact deck or artifact creature deck. Up next, a good old one to always be able to get and on the lookout for is a little bit of Lightning Greaves with Electro showing off his kicks there. Maybe he's trying to show off how his lightning powers or electricity powers can give him a little bit of polarity so that he can maybe hover off the ground or something. But I like the foiling on this one here, especially on the yellows there to make them really pop. That's always nice there. And Lightning Greaves is always a good one there, so always good to get some of that. And our good old friend Soul Ring that is in so many of these here. Good old 1 for an artifact that taps for 2 colorless there. Good old extra mana available for that. Got a little bit of Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius on there, trying to show up a lot of infinite energy there. And I guess it is appropriate because, what was it, in the second Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, they were trying to make like a mini sun in there as well. So, it kind of really fits there. And, I think it's nice. And the last one that we're going to have is Command Tower. So it looks like, half of this were kind of just like Commander staples, what with the Lightning Greaves, the Soul Ring, and now this Command Tower here. good old land that taps for 1 mana of any color, a little bit of Oscorp action, has a little bit of the green goblin soaring around there. Always a good one to get there, and having kind of multiple versions, always, or, you know, multiple versions as in different artworks can make each deck feel nice. So if I wanted to, say, make that blue, black, green Norman Osborn Green Goblin flip card as a commander there, I could use the command tower as a this command tower in there as that version there, and I think that'd be really cool. And we're gonna have for our bonus cards here a brainstorm. Okay. I think that you can get multiple different ones in these. I'm not entirely sure which ones are which, like if all of these ones here have the same one, or what the deal is there. I know that I saw different versions of these where it's like this, and then there was like a sketch, and then there was like sketch before inking or something like that. But a little bit of brainstorm action is nice in there. Not foil, so I don't know if they can come in foil. And behind here is going to be a fatal push. Okay. You're getting a couple of different ones there. Oh, brainstorm, 1 blue, instant, draw 3 cards, then put 2 from your hand on the top of your library in any order. Amazing card for only 1 blue. And for 1 black, you get fatal push, instant, destroy target creature if it has mana value 2 or less, and revolt. Instead, destroy that creature if it has mana value 4 or left, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn. So, you know, overall, a couple of good kind of cantrips there of being able to do something for the 1 mana. Always very good there. You know, I love me some extra brainstorms there because, you know, in a blue deck, making sure that you get 3 extra cards is honestly pretty darn good. So I think that there is a 3rd version there. Like there's a brainstorm, there's the brainstorm, the fatal push, and I think that there's one other one. So we'll have to see if, you know, those are in any of this stuff or if they're something completely separate. But up next we have these Venom Unleashed inks. So there is another one that is going to be in here, which are going to be the colors here, which are just going to be the same cards, just colorized in. But, you know, we'll see how that goes. Strangely, they have different prices, where I think that these ones here have a lower price. We are Venom. We know the evil that men do. So it's a little bit strange that they are like that, but, you know, we will take what we can get from all of these here because they are nice, fun, and interesting, and I like the extra card arts, even if I'm not a super big fan of some of the Universe Beyond properties. Like we just got, well, we've had information, and I just haven't made a video of, you know, we've got Nickelodeon, which had the Avatar: The Last Airbender, but, you know, now we're also getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we had SpongeBob, and so, you know, there was plenty of those there. And we'll see where Marvel goes, because apparently we've got like 5 sets of them. Okay, so first up, we're going to get a little bit of Damnation. Nifty little card. 2 mana, double black for a sorcery, destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. I can't remember which set it was in that, like, Plane Shift or something like that, where they had a bunch of cards that were callbacks to old ones, but had them in different colors. Like this Damnation is a color alteration of Wrath of God, which came out in the original sets there, you know, but instead it was double white and for the same exact effect. But here we have Venom going through, destroying a whole bunch of stuff, trying to determine if he looks like he's pretty large, like if he's somehow like extra tall in this for some reason, because it looks like in these he's got like a burning building that he's like clotheslining or doing a lariat to go through and collapse it there. So it's a little bit hard to tell the scale of him there, but, you know, Damnation is a good one there for a nice mass removal. Ooh, and we're also going to get a little bit of Dark Ritual. Now, this is a great one there for a bit of fast mana. Dark Ritual is 1 black, an instant that gives you 3 extra black. So just for 1 black, you get up by 2 extras. So you can play something a little bit more quickly there. And it looks like this is the Venom symbiote going around Eddie Brock a little bit there to kind of power him up a little bit there, which I guess makes a little bit of sense with Dark Ritual. And up next, we've got a little bit of Peer into the Abyss. It looks like a bunch of these are just going to be black cards for Venom. 4 and triple black, that's pretty expensive for a sorcery. Target player draws cards equal to half of the number of cards in their library and loses half their life, rounded up each time. So you've got 2 things that you could do with this. You could either make your opponent draw all of those cards there, but then they get all of them and take half their life. So unless you've got a way to finish off that remaining half, they've got a lot of cards to deal with you. Or you could do it on yourself. You're drawing a bunch of cards there, taking out a bunch of your life, and hopefully you don't get killed on the crackback there. So, but yeah, you're kind of looking down into his gullet there. Probably a lot of different things have disappeared down there and never been heard from again. So, hey, you know, probably pretty terrifying if you saw it in person. We also have a little bit of a Phyrexian card here, Surgical Extraction. 1 Phyrexian black mana. So again, you can either pay 2 life or 1 black mana for this, for an instant. So, you know, it's a good one there, kind of like the Mental Misstep, or I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that are that just 1 Phyrexian mana. I think there's like a green one that's like a +2/+2 buff there, but you know, always good to have these Phyrexian mana cards there. An instant with choose target card in a graveyard other than a basic land. You search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles. So not great in Commander, but in terms of trying to get a whole bunch of cards out from your opponent or to hose a graveyard strategy there, this is a good one to be able to do so. And you have, it looks like maybe some sort of machine that's trying to take the Venom symbiote off. And we're also going to get for the last one of these ink ones there, these Tendrils of Agony, a good old storm finisher, 2 double black for a sorcery. Target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life with storm. So for every time that you've cast a spell beforehand, this will copy itself. So you get a bunch of things that go down for 0 mana, or a bunch of cantrips there, kind of like the Surgical Extraction. You can pay 2 instead of the 1, and you know, you get to have a bunch of these extras there. So spend 1 mana to play that Soul Ring there, so you've got the 2 on that. Well, that's, you know, you're technically up 1, but you've also cast a spell there. And, you know, some of the other ones like Mishra's Bauble and Urza's Bauble, some of those that come down for 0 there, or, you know, other things like Dark Ritual that gives you some extra mana there so that you can use for this, but, you know, you've cast an extra one there. So it's really showing that a lot of these have some synergy together. And for our, I guess, last ones in the packs, the kind of bonus cards, a little bit of Harmonize. Okay, so this must be that last one there. We've got a bunch of characters from Into the Spider-Verse, and, you know, the comic books playing some music there. A little bit of 2 and double green for a sorcery to draw 3 cards. You know, it's the Green's way of drawing some cards. You've got a little Spider-Ham, Spider-Punk, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Noir, and Miles Morales as the Ultimate Spider-Man there. So we got all 3 different ones there. I know that there's the other versions of them. You know, we'll see if they come around, but, you know, as long as we got the 3 different ones, that's good for me. And behind this one is going to be another Fatal Push. Okay. Good for those ones there. Now we're going to be going a little bit quick through the next ones there, as they are going to be the exact same cards. However, they are just going to be colorized. So we won't spend a terribly long amount of time on these since we've already gone over what they do, but we're going to be mostly taking a look at the artwork there and how it differs slightly from the just inked versions of the cards. And like I said, for some reason, these ones here with the colorings on them have a better return value on them, like if you were to try to sell them, than the inked ones, which I don't particularly understand. Maybe people just like the color on them there. Alrighty, so again, we have a little bit of that damnation. And yeah, it does look like Venom is kind of large and in charge, kind of breaking through buildings here now that we can see it a bit more clearly. Because we see like a traffic light right there. So it looks like somehow, and even in the text there, hunger consumed Venom, and Venom in turn consumed the city there. So yeah, for some reason he got very, very big. I kind of like the inks there because it kind of makes the black and the whites pop a bit more. You know, the colorings on this makes it nice as well. We'll have to see if it works for the other ones as well. So up next, the Dark Ritual. So in this one here, we can see a lot more of that hybridization of Eddie Brock and Venom there kind of combining together. We get a little bit more of the muscle and the skin tone of Eddie Brock beneath it all. We can see his face a little bit better on what is going to be our right, but, you know, the left side of his face there. So we get to see a little bit, I guess it gives a little bit more detail of what is what. Whereas the other one, I think I like the contrast more without the colors because it feels a little bit muddy with the colors, like with how dark everything is. But that's just a preference. Also, I just noticed on it by looking over to the ones over there, both of them have the Mark Bagley on them as the person that did the outlines, and it's showing that J. David Ramos is only on these ones here because it has the coloring, so he must have done the coloring of it there. So I think that's a very nice touch to it there. And we're going to have this Peer into the Abyss there, where, you know, we get a little bit more of the fleshiness of his tongue there. But again, I would say I like the ink ones a bit better because it kind of has a bit more of that mesmerizing effect of just the stark white and blacks there, just kind of looking into the pit there. It's like, yeah, you know, it's still pretty terrifying and would be terrifying if this came around, but, you know, I don't know, like the other one, the black and white one just has a bit more of an intense feel to it. And Surgical Extraction, we get a bit more of that, what would you call it there? That, I guess, surgical, medical, hospital vibe in the background there. The background looks a little bit more sterile. But, yeah, so, and knowing in the comics there, the kind of best way to kind of get rid of the suit, the symbiote there, is with intense sounds. So it makes sense that that is what's used on this card. So I think I prefer this one over the inks because you get a bit more of the understanding that it's sound waves instead. And we're also going to get a little bit of Tendrils of Agony here. Him fighting the Spider-Man. And I think that they're about the same, the inks versus the non-inks there, just because, you know, you get a bit more detail with the coloring there. And I like the contrast of the black and white, but they both kind of have their own little elements to them there. So it'll be nice to be able to choose whichever aspect that you want. And as for our bonus cards there, first one is going to be, ooh, a Brainstorm, but in this inked version. That's strange. I mean, they kind of have the inverse of, it's like, okay, you know, you've got the colored in versions in this one, but you got an inked version over here. And over here, we get an inked version of the Harmonize as well. So I wonder if, I wonder which ones are kind of available in what, like if this is the only one that might have these inked versions, because it's like I opened up two, a foil and a non-foil, and both of them had these black and white ones, whereas the both of these other ones had them in color. So that's a bit interesting to see. But, I guess now that we got those two, it'd be nice to see Fatal Push in it as well. I don't know if those are going to show up in any of these other ones here. But up next, we're going to have the Heroic Deeds to kind of go next to the Villainous Plots there. It looks like we've got a little bit of Miles Morales here, so maybe some similar stuff. Like, my guess is, based off of the looks of that, could be like more Lightning Greaves. You got the costume, you got the power, you're Spider-Man, act like it. So that would be kind of the only thing that I could think of, is maybe they're going to have some similar things. It's been a while since I got these and know what's inside them there. So it's like, yeah, if I had a bit better memory and I remembered everything that came through, then I could probably have said for certain, like, yes, these have exactly these cards similar between them there. And again, I do think that they have some similar ones. My guess would be the staples like Lightning Greaves, Soul Ring, and Command Tower. But, we'll see. So first up, we got Ephemerate. A really, really good one there, and I'm glad to have some more copies of it there, and, being able to have some more versions of it, because I remember this coming out in Modern Horizons there, and I really, really enjoy this with my Blink decks, and making sure that you can protect creatures from spot removal and whatnot there. Ephemerate, 1 white for an instant, exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control, and it has Rebound. So Rebound is, I believe, at your upkeep, you cast it again. So it's really good to protect your creatures, but also very good for ETB triggers, because you exile a thing, it ETBs back in and activates, and then the next turn you get this again, you get a copy of it for free. And next up, 3 Visits, a really, really good one there that even in its normal printings generally has at least $1 worth of value, maybe 2. So getting some extra ones here is nice, just with some other different artworks there. Has the 3 different Spider-Mans popping out, kind of like you would see in the Into the Spider-Verse there with Spider-Gwen, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales there. Sorcery, search your library for a forest card, put it on the battlefield and shuffle. See, the big thing about this that's different from something like Rampant Growth or, Rampant Growth there, is that it doesn't say basic forest, it just says forest. So you can go get yourself a Surveil land, you could get yourself a Shock land, you could get yourself a Dual land, you could get yourself a Tri land. There's plenty of things that you can get with these because it doesn't say basic. Next up, we are getting those Lightning Greaves that we talked about. So we were right about that. We'll have to see if we're right about the other ones there. But a little bit of Miles Morales with his kicks. Yeah, new spider kicks. Feel great. Same as we saw last time with Electros, just this time here, it's with Miles Morales. Kind of makes sense there because we've seen Miles Morales with some like lightning powers there. But Lightning Greaves are always a good one to get. Giving a creature haste and shroud. It can go into a lot of decks there. It's got an equip cost of 0, so you can move it around without having to worry about getting any mana spent in other places. So very good one there. And it is another Soul Ring there. So this time here it's going to be a Spider Belt there. I can only assume that there's some like consumable stuff that he puts in there. Mostly wear this utility belt to store my extra web fluid capsules, but check out some of the other neat gadgets I've been able to cram into it. So yeah, some gadgets, but certain Spider-Men don't actually produce their own, what do you call it there? Their own webbing there. Some of them do like shoot it out, but other ones use like little canisters that they have on their arms so that they can ODM Attack on Titan, like zip through New York City with it there. I mean, but if they weren't in a city, it kind of really wouldn't matter there unless they were in like a forest or whatnot there, because, you know, once there aren't like a ton of buildings nearby or a ton of things for you to be able to hook onto, it's a little bit more difficult to be swinging around using your momentum like that there. But more soul rings is always good, and we were right. Command tower is going to be our third one in here that is going to be replicated. They really do like printing these up, but I mean, they are kind of staples in a lot of commander decks there, so having a bunch of different versions is nice there. It does keep the price of them low so that people can have access to them as well. So, you know, I think that's nice as well. This one probably is the Daily Bugle there. What better place to watch over the city than from its greatest heights? Could be Daily Bugle, could be just one of the taller buildings in New York City there. Not completely certain, but we are going to have for our final ones there another colored in harmonized there. So I don't know if this one has stuff there because it looks like here. Oh, huh. I'd have to look to see if this is a inked one or if this is like one of the better ones there. Let's see here. It was in here. This one was 203, 7013. This one was 7018. Oh, these might be the better ones then if they're that late. And this is just the 7013. Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Oh man. So this brainstorm is like there's like 3 layers or something where it's the colored in ones are the least expensive there, and then you've got these ones here which are like maybe inked and shading ones, and then you've got these ones here that are like sketches or something. But it's just like if you look at it there, you can see like all of the sketches on it there, and it hasn't been like inked in or something. Like this one is a bit more inked in and polished and has kind of the shading of the background there, whereas this harmonized here, it still looked inked in there, but it's just, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here. This says 7018, and this is 7017. This is 21. Which one was this? 13. Or maybe this is the good one there. Like, because this is 13. So there's got to be something between these two. If this is 17 and 18. So 13, 14, 15. Another one of this would be 16. Okay, so no, this is the really, really good one there. And these two are kind of the second grade ones. Okay, man, we got the Brainstorm as the really good one there. Oh boy, like that's really nice. I mean, I'll certainly take any different versions as possible there because I'm trying to get as many as possible. So we need the 7016 of the Brainstorm, but we also need the better versions of Fatal Push and Harmonize as well. I mean, we're still getting some of the extra ones there, so that's pretty good, as well as this Ephemerate. Ephemerate's always great. I'll take Ephemerate there. I've got a couple of decks that can use that, a couple of different commanders that will want that. So hey, I mean, we've got the 3 colored in versions, we've got 2 of the lesser versions, and we've got 1 of the greatest version. I mean, sure, you know, I'm down for it there. It would be nice if I could get some of the other versions to kind of complete out the collection there so that I've got the continuous ones. I know that it's going to be a little bit difficult because they've got stuff like the Hatsune Miku, like Electromancer Hatsune Miku that has the Snapcaster Mage, and they've got the Mana Vault on the Fallout one, and I didn't get either of those. So those are kind of maybe dream chase cards almost. And I mean, there's the other Chaos Emeralds as well, but I did get 2 of them, like, which is insane. They're both the same ones. They're both greens, but the green one, I guess, has the most value behind it, maybe because it's the Master Emerald. So, you know, I'll certainly take that there. you know, I'll take 2 of the best ones. I did get the Minsc and Boo. So aside from that one there, Minsc and Boo, got that one. I've gotten a 7 Dwarves. There's some good ones that I've gotten as well. So up here is going to be our Daily Bugle stuff. So I like these ones here. I know that they haven't sold super well from Secret Lair, probably because of the different cards, but we'll see them there. Are You Informed? 3 mana and a blue for Daily Bugle's Fact or Fiction. Spidey good for the city. An instant with reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates them into 2 piles. Put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard. The opponents separate the piles, but you get to choose whatever you get. So, you know, you get to pick the best thing for you, which is very nice. And I really like these Daily Bugle ones because, you know, of the whole J. Jonah Jameson of like, is he actually a good guy or not? Like, he's a villain. Now, up next there, we've got Frantic Search. Manhunt continues. 2 and a blue for Daily Bugle's Frantic Search. Spider-Man, lead suspect in Jewelry Heist. An instant with draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and untap up to 3 lands. So you can be able to play some more stuff there. Again, another good one there for you to be able to use something like Tendrils of Agony or a Storm card because you untap the lands. If you untap a land that produces more than 1 mana, then you're up even more, which is good. Exclusive story and photos, page 4 and 5. You know, just a little bit of Peter Parker photographing himself to get paid, which is just, I think, very funny. And Scheming Symmetry. I really like this card because there are interesting ways to get benefits from it there, or for you to be able to take control of whatever card gets picked. 1 black for Daily Bugle Scheming Symmetry. Can New York handle 2 masked menaces? And it looks like we've got Miles Morales and Peter Parker both fighting Doc Ock in this one here. A sorcery with choose 2 target players. Each of them searches their library for a card, then shuffles and puts that card on top. So, you know, a good little tutor effect that, you know, is for both people there. But like I said, there are ways to abuse it there and either get benefits of your opponent's searching or for you to be able to take whatever your opponent searches for. And we are also going to be getting further down the rabbit hole with this. Special edition, 8 and a red for Daily Bugle's Blasphemous Act. Daily Bugle under attack. Sorcery with the spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, and it deals 13 damage to each creature. Good little red board wipe that has been around for a little bit there from, what, I think that it came out in one of the original Innistrad sets there. Very, very powerful effect there, you know, potentially paying only 1 red to deal 13 damage to each creature, and then having something like Boros Reckoner or something with that effect of when a deal gets dealt damage, you get to not redirect, but also deal that much damage to something else, and, you know, hitting an opponent's face as well is nice. But it looks like you've got Green Goblin attacking the Daily Bugle there, and then Spider-Man getting blamed from it because, of course, that's what J. Jonah Jameson does. And then we also have a little bit of Impact Tremors there with Rhino. That was no Earthquake. 1 and a red for Daily Bugle's Impact Tremors. Spider-Man, Rhino, Strike City. An enchantment with whenever a creature you control enters. This enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. Very, very powerful, especially if you're getting a bunch of tokens in, especially if you're getting some tokens in very quickly. It can deal a lot of damage very fast. But yeah, very good one there. Always nice to get more versions of cards, especially ones that haven't been printed a whole lot, or ones that I don't have a lot of copies of that are impactful. So I'm glad to get some more of these as well. And of course, you know, Rhino makes the damages, and then Spider-Man has to pay the price with J. Jonah Jameson's stuff there. And behind this all, we're going to get another colored in Brainstorm here. I do like the colors on it there, but I am glad that we got, you know, some of the alternate version of it as well. And for behind Impact Tremors, we're going to get another Fatal Push there. Getting a little bit more of that one as well from the previous ones. I think that, yep, that's the same one there. And that is the same one there. Okay, yep. So we got 2 color harmonizes. We got 2 color, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I know that we got at least 2 colorings of each one there. We got special versions of Brainstorm, Fail, Push, and Harmonize. So we got 1 extra one. So I think Harmonize might have had the extra one there. Would have been nice if it was the Brainstorm, but hey, you know, we'll take what we can get there, especially since we did get some bonus versions of them. And for the last one, and kind of the piece de resistance, we've got the Spider-Man Mana Symbiote Raised Foil Edition lands. Now, special one there because it's just going to be 2 of each land, but they're going to have these raised foilings and is going to have this venom on each of them there. So, you know, an interesting little extra one that you can put in there. I am Strice, I am Glorious War. Wherever I go, the battle shall follow. Like a shadow you cast over all those who hold dear and close. So, in a different, you know, not in the normal one there, but in this plastic one there. We're gonna get this little pull tab, and it didn't do a whole lot there, and I did not bring over my scissors this time to open it up, so I'm just hoping that this goes fine, and we'll be able to pull these out. Okay, so starting off with our planes there, gets the planes. I can see the raised foiling. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it that well. Maybe in some of this reflection you'll be able to see it, but we've got a little bit of Eddie Brock and Venom, kind of like a little bit of the Eddie Brock up here, and you know, the rest of it being Venom. And get that there. A little bit of the island there, kind of doing a little bit of like a Dragon Ball Z pose of like putting the hands in like that. Looks pretty nice to me. Like I said, almost looks like some sort of key blast that it's doing there. And the webbing on the symbols that you see here and here kind of makes it look like it's almost shattering the symbols as well, instead of just being a spider web. But, you know, very, very nice artwork on these here. And Swamp's going full Venom on these ones here instead of the half and half with the Eddie Brock. The mouth kind of fully consuming the mana symbol this time, whereas with the Eddie Brock one on this planes, it's not quite fitting around there, but it really looks like it's consuming the full thing right here. So very, very intense on that Swamp there. A lot more veining in the neck there because he has kind of like those huge muscles and lots of veins around his neck there. Get both of those. And a little bit of mountain there, a little bit, you know, showing a bit more of that Urabrask and dragon kind of maw type of thing. The unhinged jaw kind of like going through, again, another one where it looks like it's kind of trying to consume the mana symbol. This time here, though, the tongue kind of trying to wrap around it there, and almost like it's trying to like push it down into its mouth so it can do a full consumption on that there. And again, I like how even though it's webbing, it also looks like the mana symbol is shattering in it there. And the last one is going to be this forest, which has the symbiote like scattering and stretching all over the place there, almost kind of like a forest. And instead of consuming it through the mouth there, it feels like the symbiote is going to like come around, you know, like this from behind and kind of just swallow up the mana symbol as well. I think that all of these look very, very beautiful there. So I am glad that these came around with it. The copyright symbols on these look like they aren't quite as well printed. That's the only thing that I see on these, because I'm looking at some of these previous ones there, or maybe these island ones are just better. They just look slightly different there And our last card is going to be another Brainstorm. So we will finish off with another Brainstorm. So maybe Fatal Push might be the one that we didn't have in each one. It's either Fatal Push or Harmonize, because this is our 4th Brainstorm. We must have gotten 4 of one of the other ones there. But overall, very, very beautiful lands. You know, they don't necessarily look like lands, not quite like the lands that came up in the Spider-Man set, but still, these are very, very beautiful, very, very shiny there, and they've got some really great artwork on there. So overall, pretty nice. I mean, I think that the best thing in it was getting this Brainstorm, with it being kind of the Chase Edition one there. We did get the kind of the mid-level ones for the other 2 as well, which was very, very nice. But, you know, getting one of the like best ones there, especially Brainstorm, which I think is the most expensive of all of them, makes it a little bit easier to finish off the collection when you're not having to spend the money to get the most expensive ones individually, and it just comes to you naturally. It's just a really, really nice feeling. So thanks for joining me on this one here. I hope that you have some good luck in whatever you're doing, whether it's work or your hobbies or any of these pulls if you're doing them as well. I'll look forward to having you back next time. So please have a good evening, a good afternoon, a good night. And until you come on back, please take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.